Hello coders, welcome to another How to Code Well Laravel tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to manipulate root parameters through the middleware. I'm going to show you the end result in the browser, I'm going to show you the code, and then I'm going to rebuild the code from scratch. We have the root /user and then a parameter. The parameter is called name. I'm capitalizing the value of this parameter, which is my name, Peter. However, the output that we see in the view is Peter lowercased. Let's take a look at how this is done in the code. In the web.php root file, we have the root /user/ and then the parameter name. It is returning to a view where we're passing in the parameter user with the variable value of name that we've passed into the function. This root is also calling the middleware lowercase name. In the handle method of the lowercase name middleware class, we are getting the name parameter from the root of the request object. We're then running strut_lower to lowercase this value and setting it back as a parameter to the root. We're then returning to the next closure. Don't worry if that doesn't make any sense, because what I'm going to do now is rebuild the code. The first thing I'm going to do is delete the middleware. I'm also going to delete the root. We start by using the root facade, and we call the root : get method. The first parameter of this method is the URI, which is /user/ and then in curly braces, we want to put the parameter of name. The second parameter of the get method is the action, and this is going to be a closure, which is a function, and in the function's parentheses we define the parameter. This has a data type of string and it is a name. Within the body of this function we are returning the view, and we're going to use the user blade template. The second parameter is going to be an array of arguments that we supply to this view, and in here we supply the key of name with the value of name, like so. Just for clarity, I'll show you the template. That's in the resources, and in views there is a user.blade.php file. In this file we have the HTML with the h1 hello and then the parameter name output. Let's run the web server by typing php artisan serve and go into a browser. In the browser, at the request user /Peter, we can see that the HTML renders out hello and Peter all in uppercase. We need to change the name parameter to be lowercase, and we do that in the middleware. So let's go back to the code. In a terminal, type php artisan make : middleware. Pass the name of the middleware that we want to create, and in this case it is lowercase name. This is going to create the middleware file lowercase name within the app http middleware lowercase name file. In the handle method, we need to pull out the parameter name from the root, and we can do that by calling the root of the request. Create the variable name and assign that to request and call the root method. Let's take a look at what the root method does. This method has two parameters. They're both defaulting to null. The first one is a parameter and the second one is the default value if the parameter doesn't exist. But it is important to note that the root method can return the root object a string or a null. What it's doing is it's getting the root from the root resolver. If the root or the parameter is null, then the root is returned. If they are not null, then the parameter from the root is returned that has the same parameter key as what has been supplied. Let's go back to the lowercase name middleware. What we can do is supply the key of the parameter that we're after. In this case, it is name. Let's dump and die, passing in the name variable, and then go back to the web.php roots file and assign middleware to the root. So type middleware with the lowercase name class and then refresh the browser, we will see that we have the value of the name parameter, which is Peter in all uppercase. We can now manipulate this value and set it back as a parameter to the root. Let's remove the die and dump from the lowercase middleware. To set the value of a parameter, call request root, and without supplying any arguments, call set parameter. Supply the parameter key, in this case it is name, and then the value of the parameter, which in this case is str to lower, and then the variable name. To recap, we're going to get the name parameter from the root from the request. We're doing that by supplying the parameter key name to the root. The value of name is the string Peter, which is all capitalized. We want to then lowercase that string and set it back to the parameter name. And we do that by calling request and root, but this time we don't supply any parameters to the root method. This is going to get the root object, which has the method set parameter that we can call with the parameter key, which is the name, and the new value that we want to set. And this essentially overwrites the parameter that we've got originally. Let's save the file and refresh the page. And here we can see that we have the parameter, which is now lowercased. This is pretty neat, right? But what's the point in doing this? Why should we ever bother manipulating any parameters in Laravel middleware? Well, I can think of a number of reasons. For example, we might want to standardize our requests. We may have lots of APIs with various different parameters that actually mean the same thing, and we want to standardize the parameters before we hit the controller. Another example is that we could be looking out for specific parameters and redirecting the user to certain pages based on the parameters that were given. Say, for example, we had / and then a profile name. We were looking for a specific profile name and redirecting them to a certain page. If it was just / and then another string, say, for example, frequently asked questions or contact, we would redirect them to those specific things. But we might be looking out for specific parameters and then redirecting the user to those pages. If you found this tutorial helpful, then please let me know. Give it a thumbs up, share it around to those who might find it useful too. If you've got any suggestions for future tutorials, please go to howtocodewell.net/contact, fill out the contact form there, give me your tutorial suggestions. And whilst you're there, consider signing up to howtocodewell.net for future courses and tutorials on Laravel and other PHP frameworks. Take care, everyone. Happy coding, and I'll see you again in the next Laravel tutorial.